Mimi, welcome. I'm Reverend Queen Mother Imakhu. It's my pleasure to be with you on this Sunday evening. And tonight we're going to have Khametic service. Tonight's topic for our message, our motivational message, is the beauty and power of Khametic language, or what we know as Medu Nature. So, because we're going to be having Eucharist, please, or Huit Kadest, please, if you'd like to join toward the end, you might want to grab a red juice and a piece of bread. You know, I've been doing keto, so finding bread was pretty hard because I've cut out a lot of it because keto is high protein and low carb. So I managed to find a little something for our sacred ceremony. I hope that your day has been good. I hope that your day actually has been fabulous. And I know I announced I was coming on in the morning. But you know, I've come, sometimes I've had to change things up because I've had some unusual people following me. Okay. Goes with the territory, what can I say? But I apologize, and I'm glad to be here with you, and I hope you'll forgive me. So, you know, listen, I had a pretty, oh, wait. Please share that I'm on the air. Please click like, whether you are on Facebook or actually you can put a heart on Facebook. If you are on YouTube, then please give me a thumbs up, and then also subscribe if you have not. And please share that I am on the air. Drop your hellos in the chat. Let me know how you're doing. And also let me know if you saw what I posted day before yesterday about the symbol that Drake uses for his company OVO, and some of my observations on the Kendrick and Drake beef. I have some very decided thoughts on it. I held back the other day, you know, just trying to be as fair-minded and spiritual as possible. But listen, fact is, I'm also a social commentator. And so I want to bring you my thoughts regarding that because it's a lot deeper than you really think. And actually, there is a cultural piece that's attached to it that we really need to pay attention to. But for right now, let's get started with our opening prayers. And I knew I forgot something. I forgot my sister. You know what? I used to have a checklist of everything that I needed for service, and I'm going to just trust that it's going to be okay for. No, I have to do this the right way. We're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. We find some nice visual for you to look at while I am grabbing the sacred sistrum in order to open the way. We're gonna do it right. We're gonna do it right. Goodness knows I have so many graphics up here from the last live. Let's see if I can find something that's really wonderful and lovely. This is an old one. Be right back. I see folks coming in. I don't see any hellos. Come on and give me hellos. Let me know that you're here. Reverend Tamu, how are you this evening? I love all the love coming at me. Give thanks and praise back at you. Brandon, peace and blessings. How are you, dear? It's good to always see you. Where in the country are you? I know Reverend Tamu is in Pennsylvania, but I keep envisioning you on the other side of the country. Am I right? I don't recall. Virgo Bliss, how are you? Peace and blessings. I love the rose and the butterfly there. Thank you. Oh, you're in Long Island? Our beloved elder is in Long Island. She lives in Sag Harbor. I don't know why. I just thought you were way over in California. Reverend Tammuz is doing well, thank you. I know you said you want to finish telling me some things. Yes, indeed, yes. Because we never finished that consultation from your chart because there was so much information. So let's indeed plan on when we can do that. Give thanks. Okay. Yunharech. Ink. 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 Yunharech beset. Yunharek besu. Ek yuni yunim katni. Anuk beset i besu. Barakandi enechenu. Barekandi. Yun eni beset besu nefer I wadu nefer nebu. Wep wat beset em wep ti. Beheni besu em besa. Behen besa hauni I hetnu. Sebek bet yuni. Tuau. En. 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 Let's do a quick prayer over your water if you have it there. Birdie, it's good to see you. Give thanks and praise. We're so thankful for the water that is in our bodies, that exists in the world. And let's remember to take care of our planet and look after your water sources. Check in with your local politicians and also with your city government in general to see how the condition of your water is, if it needs to be improved, and what can be done to improve it. Also, make wise choices about the water that you buy. I tell you, I would have never guessed that we'd be buying water. But these years later, here we are, and it's become something that's regular. So make sure that no matter where your water source is, that you pray over your water, that you say wonderful blessings into your water, and that you also reflect for yourself the things that you would like to have expanded, because the fact that water expands things. Okay. And so, Neferet, Anuk Neferet, I am good, beautiful, and successful. Anuk Merit, I am beloved. Erdanim Bunikai, take me to my higher place. As you speak loving words into the water, it can and drink it, it connects with the water that is in your body as well. Give thanks. And let us honor the life force. Dware have to wear benef. And I care up dead and pet. Anachara kitim kepri. Kepri ke mamne cheru. Heikwebenek, pesit mutek, heiktiem suten cheru erinek mutnut eius em erit nini tuare haftu ebenef ema kerab dead and pet enk enk enk. And over there is my vessel for, it's been a while since I've done this, okay? I was taking it easy for a while, and so I'm falling back into the routine for our Sundays. So yeah, for a libation, it's over there. So I will be right back. Thank you for waiting. This used to belong to my mother. And my mother gave me the set of glasses. Yesterday was the anniversary of her birthday. The day before that was my daughter's birthday. So in special memory of my mother, I'm going to do this in English, and I'm going to ask um, for you to focus in on all of those who have had a great impact on your life and get ready to call out their names. And so we give divine thanks and praise to the ancestors. We follow in we follow in your footsteps. We thank you. Erchanuku, Ernuku. We give you light, you give us light. Ishkanu, we remember you. Keru Renuechandu, we speak your names. And now let us speak the names of our ancestors. I usually call out by the last names, beginning with the maternal side. Simmons, Exum, Smith, Whitley, Artis, Ortiz, Aldrich, Anderson, Lloyd Yates, McLaughlin, Myers, Murray, Mosley, Salmon, Ely, Clyburn, Mayfield. And I'm going to pour this outside when we're done. Divine ancestors of light, we ask for your divine protection at this time as we call in also the divine Necheru, and we ask for their protection as we are in this sacred space. Give us wisdom, give us light, give us protection, give us insight, give us everything that is necessary to help us in this divine path and bring our blessings as well. Duao. Okay. Marsha Perkins, it's good to see you. You know, Birdie, I was just remembering that it is 10 years since we first met each other. We met each other at that artist meeting where we were discussing the state of the arts in the city and what was going to be if we didn't band together. And darn if a lot of those predictions did not come true as the community fell apart for a minute there, but has been rebuilding. Yeah. The arts community here in Newark is powerful and is full of some pretty special people. And, one of the things that I want to share with you regarding that is please do not be afraid of paying your dues. There are so many people who just want to attach themselves to other people and figure that they'll take shortcuts, and some do. But what you need to have and honor is experience. And this actually is in all aspects of life because we've been just taught to just take the easy way with everything. My talk about initiation will come this week. But initiation is something else that people just think is supposed to be just a, 1-2 experience, and it is not. It is not. But in all aspects of life, things take time. Yeah, there's some things that happen quickly, but in order to really understand things, to understand the heart of a situation, because you don't get all the information yet, in order to really hone the patience and the kindness that is involved sometimes, but also the sagacity that goes along with when you get information and deciding what to do with it or how to decide about a person or a situation. It really takes time, right? So honor putting in hard work. A hard work ethic is a good thing, and it will take you in many places. And then eventually things get easier. Just like for how many of you who played an instrument? Now, I started playing flute when I was in 4th grade. And, there was a period of time where I actually stopped being in love with my flute and actually didn't treat it too well. Then by the time I fell back in love with it, when I was in freshman year, then I had to play this crappy looking flute. But still managed to get good sound out of it because of the fact that I'd learned it so well and had actually pretty well mastered it. And I became first chair in sophomore year. No, junior year. Junior and senior year, I played first chair, which is a big deal for those of you who are in band and remember. And then I played professionally for a while. Same thing with when I learned sax and all the other instruments. It takes time, it takes discipline with anything, including learning our glorious Medu Nature, the glorious language. It takes applied effort. So we're going to talk about that tonight. Bertie says the struggle is a part of the learning process. It is. It is. I always say that I really don't trust people who haven't been through anything, because they don't really understand. And usually they're used to things being handed to them. So I'm not saying that you should go out looking for problems so that way you can get some cred. Just live your life, okay? Live your life. You'll find the challenges that will come. But for people who live in a shallow existence where everything is given to them and then they expect everything to be given to them, then I really don't have too much time to have conversation with them. And you'll find that they're not really the ones who are the wisdom keepers. The wisdom keepers are the ones with the stories to tell, and from a place of truth, from their life experiences. Okay. And so I just want to just quickly share that. All right. Let's get into the message. Medu Nature. We call the sacred writings that the Greeks called hieroglyphs Medu Nature, which means the words of the divine. Now, I posted the other day about Drake and I'm sorry, either somebody shooting off fireworks or something else. Let's hope they're fireworks. It's still 4th of July weekend celebration. So anyway, let me just share a graphic with you that I put up related to what Drake has been using for his OVO company logo. For those of you who didn't see it, you see the OVO symbol on the right. That is Medu Neter. I did an entire breakdown about that. And also, when it comes to all things, there's a positive and there's a negative, right? Unfortunately, this appears to be used in a subliminal way. Well, actually, it's an in your face way for people who do know the meaning of the owl symbol, which represents the letter M or the M sound, or M, okay? We say N, which is the vibration out, and it's the water wave symbol or the energy symbol. N Kut, which is the outward vibration of light or the light outward expression of light. M Mer, and pulling in divine love, because M is in. It is inside. It has a lot of different meanings. Let me just pull that up really quickly to be specific. That's one of the many definitions. Sorry. Let me see where it says letter M. See, and they give me these little teeny little thumbnails. I mean, like teeny thumbnails. I mean, smaller than average here to work with. This M. Lesson again, I'm going to advise you to please watch the video. You'll find a lot of information, and you'll see why it seems that the owl symbol was used. People have a great fascination with the Khametic language and with the symbolism. There are different forms of the language, and there were different developments in it over the ages. Most are familiar with the pictographs. They're developed a writing style which was akin to cursive writing, if you will, but it was like an abbreviated but some sort of a fancy but quick way to jot down the images. And then it, of course, flowed into what became the Coptic language. But these symbols are powerful because even after you learn them and you meditate on them, it could be in a word and creating a word or phrase, or just the sound. It brings positive results depending on where your mind is. Everything is all about intention. Ib, that means intention. It is the heart, it is the mind, and it is what you intend to do with the information that you're given. But in addition to the actual writing of it, and if you're going to be, I believe, if you are if you're a diehard African historian, or if you're a Kemetic faith practitioner, then you should learn the language. Why? Because then you'll be able to tell whether people are saying, like when you go to museums, most of the time what you see put up on the museum descriptions, they're not correct. If you're able to read for yourself, well, this monument says this statue says this, right? But you look at it and you're able to read it, and then you can just determine, well, that's not what it says. That's not what it means. It's important to be able to read it in order to be able to truly understand our story, to understand the story of the people back then, and to understand what they were saying. And I was in an ASCAC class today. ASCAC is the I never get this right. One of these days I'm gonna go through all this without forgetting anything. The Association of the Classical for the study of classical ancient African civilizations, ASCAC. Yes. So I had a glorious class today with fellow scholars. There is nothing like being in the company of fellow scholars, because everybody's on the geek tip. You're on that geek vibe. You're all excited about learning, and that you're able to add your input. Everybody is able to learn. Well, this person knows this. This person knows this, and so my contribution was about the language. Okay, well, this is this. This is this, and so the sister who was teaching one of the sections today was talking about the ancient Kemetic lineage of the Jali. Jali is the word that is used throughout a lot of Western African cultures for the storyteller. Many of you know I'm a professional storyteller and poet and musician. And the whole thing about telling our stories has been a great passion of mine since I was very young. And, you can have other people who try to reinterpret or interpret what you are trying to convey, and it comes out to be a misinterpretation, and it takes people off on this whole other track. But to know that the Jali is or was a very prized role, which I knew. But the thing today that I loved was learning about how there's a connection between the Sejeti and the Jali. The Sejeti was the original word that was used in Kemetic language for the storyteller. And the root word is jet or jet. All right. Now, we are familiar with Jehuti, who was considered a major orator because the Sejeti was also an orator. And Jed is the root word. Like I said, Jed means to tell, to orate. And Jedi and Jedu referred to the storyteller. Jedi, Jeli, Jali. You can see where there's the correlation. And also the D sound, or the soft D sound, and the L sounds were often interchangeable. Jedi, Jeli, spelled Jeli, Jeli. Also spelled Jali, but most people know it as Jali. Knowing that there were lineages of storytellers who knew the importance of holding the history, telling the history, retelling the history, and doing it accurately, and then passing it on for the next generation of storytellers, because it was not just through the written word, but it was also through the spoken word that history was kept. Now, the beautiful thing about ancient Kemetic culture was that since they were in a dry climate, they were able to preserve a lot of their writings. When they made paper, they didn't just fall to mush because of the fact that it wasn't so wet. It was pretty arid. So in writings, in stone, clay tablets, so many different forms of writing that were left behind for us, because they knew that they would be found. Well, what was so important about leaving the words of an ancient civilization behind, because they tell the truth of the people and also their wisdom experiences and what they want to convey. People don't realize that when they're reading the Bible, that they're reading a lot of ancient Khametic texts that came before and that were well known and that were taken and massaged into, or just straight up just put into, the books that ended up becoming the Bible in total. The book of Proverbs, wow, a lot of that is from the book of Amenemhotep. And I mean, it just goes on and on. People are unfortunately scared away from our history because they're made to believe that it's evil. And, you know, it was a, excuse me, civilization, excuse me, that was overtaken by the Greeks, the Romans, um, and the Arabs. So they say that the victor is the one who gets to tell the story. So that meant that things would be changed. But if you had things literally written in stone, you know, that makes it very hard. But in getting to really understand the culture, getting inside the culture, getting inside the culture and living the culture, as we call it, gives you different levels of insight as to what the words meant and how they impact you. And even in speaking them, the power of being able to write your own desires, your own prayers to the divine, using these words that are just so lovely to listen to. Oh, and then these words are connected to so many other languages. Khametic language is a is the ultimate in learning African languages, because it is the culmination of so many different African cultures that flowed into and out of Kemet, from all up and down the Happy Valley region, from Eritrea, Kush, um, goes on and on, and then also into West Africa and South Africa too. Yes, because the Bantu from South Africa traveled up to Kemet, and then there were those who were in Kemet that traveled down there. So there's this there. It is the beautiful come together language. Okay, so and find some of the. And by the way, I always refer to the ancient, well, not ancient dictionaries, but the dictionaries that you see how pitiful. This is a well used and well loved book. Okay, this is in pieces now. This is my volume 1 of the Budge dictionary, but I have other dictionaries as well that were translated by others. But this is my biggest go to because of the fact it's a great study tool, because you can find a lot of mistakes in it too. Now, Budge said when he put this together, basically, like, look, I took a stab at translating this language that is foreign to me. I'm a white English dude trying to interpret a Black African ancient language. Did the best I can. There are going to be mistakes from me and from the scribes, but here you go. So, yeah, there are a lot of mistakes, a whole lot of mistakes, but it's okay because it makes you a better scholar. And when I say a lot of mistakes, I mean, like, it'll say, okay, like, it'll have a particular word, but then when you read the language, knowing each of the letters, and you pronounce the words, then you say, wait a minute, that's not what this is supposed to be. This is supposed to be this. So here's my volume 2, more intact. I don't know why. I have another volume 1 because I wore it out and it's in worse shape than that. But I keep it because of all the notes that I've written in the margins. Okay, this is like this word on page such and such, column so and so. You know, if you're studying, then you really need to be very astute with your notes. But one of the prayers I want to share today is one that I get asked about an awful lot because there is power in this prayer, but there's also especially power in it in the Khametic language. And this is Hesi, Psalm 23. I translated this, oh gosh, maybe 10 years ago, maybe more. But it is a comfort piece. And that's because um, this reminds us that the original Good Shepherd was Anjati, Amun-Re, Wasir. In ancient writings that were left behind, you will find praise poems to Amun-Re, and he is referred to as the Good Shepherd. And there are different references in it that are just straight up associated with the 23rd Psalm and all of the phrases that were later attributed to Jesus the Christ. People like hearing that. If you're like, well, no, I only believe this and I'm not going to listen. Okay, listen. And what can I say? I mean, I'm not trying to interrupt your faith and I'm not trying to pull you away from it. I'm just trying to educate. Education is a good thing. Now, I could be sitting here and as I'm wearing this black top, I can be telling you, no, it's red. And you clearly see it's black. But if I'm saying over and over, no, it's red. And you need to believe that it's red. And after a while, you're like, oh, okay, it's red. You got to check yourself because we have an awful lot of that. We've gotten away from cognitive thought. And you need that in order to really and truly learn and understand without feeling threatened. You can believe what you want to believe. But, if I tell you this has purple polka dots and white stars on it, and you can clearly see ain't no stars on this, you have to stop and think. So, unfortunately, because of the fact that so much of our history has been taken away from us, we have been believing the stars and whatnot when it's not there, and not believing what really is there. So I want you to listen to how beautiful this sounds. Daneb pe zayuni. Iteek efti em enkuwaj. Krepek niher anchuseker. Chebek bani. Krepek ni em eatu maet em renes jaser maet. Tu tegasni en antet keksaker. Hem anuk jasep em esfet. Heterek. Nekuni em hekek I nekekek. Sepedek heteri ni heribak setuni. Ushevni sefsef. Merek tepni em merchet. Nefer neferet inem em ketni. Heru nebu em anki. I anki em het nefer nekek. Amen. Imenit. Daneb pe zayuni. The Lord is my shepherd. Anuk nenti nen sep. I am never in need. Itaek efti em anku saker. You grant or give or cause my resting in green pastures. Kerepek niher antu saker. You lead me beside still waters or ponds or lakes. Chebekbani, you restore my soul. Kerepekni em ietu maet em renes jaser maet. You lead me to righteous paths in the holy name of Maet. Tu tegasni im entet kek sager. Yes, I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Hem anuk wuchasep im esfet. But I am fearless of evil. Heterek, you are my companion. Nekuni en hekek I nekekek. Comfort me through your shepherd's crook and flail. Sepetek heterini heribak. Sentuni. You prepare my feast in the presence of my enemies. Mushebni sefsef. My cup overflows. Mirchek tepni im mirchet. You anoint my head with oil. Nefer. Neferet I name im ketni. Surely goodness and mercy follow me. Heru nebu em anki. All days of my life. I anki em het necher nekek. Hekek. And I live in God's house forever. Amen. Amen. This year, for 2024, for our Khametic New Year and also for 2024, the guardian who spoke was Anjeti, the original and oldest known Good Shepherd, who was the precursor to Wasir, who in the Khametic tradition was the most, between him and also Amun-Re, they were both really the most prominently known as the Good Shepherd, but the original was Anjeti. And he spoke, and the message brought information about the turmoil, basically, that we're experiencing now politically and how it's affecting the world, and that there would be a great time of upheaval. The remedy was about reading the 23rd Psalm, the Khametic language, every day, and for people who don't read the Khametic language, then just to read the 23rd Psalm is fine. There's a great deal of comfort and power in it. And it also is full of affirmations, basically knowing that the divine is going to look out for your needs if you will it so, if you work within that energetic framework, and if your faith allows you to work there as well. So I don't know how many of you remember that. It's okay if you don't. At this point, it's still not too late. Ruasar Ang Amunre, how are you this evening? It's so good to see you. Duau. Duau. So, the cool thing about the Khametic language is also that it can also not just be about prayers. Okay? So, like, I love looking up words that would be germane to now, or phrases. So one of the things that we say all the time is like, y'all ready? Y'all ready? And in the Khametic language, that would be sepejenu. Sepejenu, because sepej is ready. Jenu is y'all. Okay, all y'all. And then peranu, let's go. Let's go. So, I love writing poetry in the Khametic language, and there were beautiful love poems that were left behind, and there were letters left behind from women of prominence. It was common for women to be the Nebet Per or the Nebet Chet, who is the little mistress of the house, not mistress like that other mistress, but mistress being the female master of the house, who looked after things, who was great at keeping a budget, and who also was great at building and keeping the generational wealth. It was said in the book of Prince Harjadef. He advised his sons in cleaning up your life, and then find a job in your chosen profession, and then um, uh, get a house and some property, settle down, get a wife, and make sure that she's a smart cookie. Make sure she's a smart woman, because with her you will build your family and your family fortune. Hmm. And and it goes on, but it's great advice that is germane to now. And um, uh, one word that was used in the description of finding a wife was the word ib. And it was misinterpreted by many to mean to find yourself a nice hearty woman. Get yourself a stout wench, get get a real thick chick who you'll be able to work with, or who can work the farm, but that's not what the interpretation, that's not what it meant. The word ib, as I had said before, means the heart. So that's why they assumed, because it was heart, that it was hearty, which was more of a European understanding or misunderstanding of it, because it was hard to imagine that a man would be saying, no, look for a smart woman. Ib is also intelligence. So this is where it's important to understand the culture, to understand who is trying to interpret, whose voice is there. Are they really speaking for them or for us? And to really understand and appreciate where it's coming from. Okay? So let's go back to Drake. Now, supposedly he ended up coming into this company. It was created, I guess, before he entered into it. And I'm not quite sure who decided on the logo, but I can tell you that with the breakdown, you will see that it is from the negative aspect, or from the basic understanding of it, because to remember the sound or um, um, the pictograph for it, you remember an owl swallowing a mouse. Yeah, but there's a lot more to it. Again, watch the video, you'll see. But everything that's connected to everything I broke down is consistent with everything that Drake has been accused of. But it's like out in the open, like, here I am. I'm telling you, but I'm not telling you. And I'm leaving it for those of y'all who can figure it out to figure it out. But otherwise, I'm putting who I am right in your face. Unless there's a chance he didn't know and the joke was on him, and the partners who invited him into this business created it first and completely just lampooned him by choosing that as the symbol, knowing that they were basically busting on him and narking him at the same time, or accusing him at the same time, or having the possible hidden accusations. I mean, it's it's something to really think about. But I really believe that whoever chose that symbol is very fully aware, because of knowing the Khametic language, and when you really immerse yourself into it, you find out that there are all kinds of double, triple, quadruple entendres that exist within the language, even in just one word that can have so many meanings, which is not unusual, because the fact that in the English language we have so many words that have so many meanings. They may be spelled a little differently, but they have so many different meanings. The only thing was, with Kemetic language, a lot of times they were still tied together. Just to give you an example, okay, we have the word to, T-O, to do something, T-O. Then you have to, also. Yeah, I'm going to have that too, right? And then you have the number two. Yeah, I'm going to have two of those, right? All depends on the spelling, all depends on what is indicated along with it. Sometimes you have to get context clues or whatever. But in this situation, we know for sure because of the spelling variations. Well, there are spelling variations within the Khametic language too, but with the same sounds, as I showed in the previous video. But a lot of times, as a joke, a lot of things are looped in together. And, you have to kind of be an insider to get all of that, or to really deeply study and give yourself over to the study and understanding of it. As you learn the lore. The lore is so important. This is, again, the whole thing about being Sajedi, a storyteller, right? Because once you know the stories and you come to know the words associated with them and the subject, then you see all of the layers. Oh, 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 oh. Sometimes it's like, oh, okay. Because they had a great sense of humor. They actually, the ancient Kamites had sometimes a very dark sense of humor, sometimes very wry humor. Okay, and they were really great at being able to insult people without using any kind of cuss words. This is a great skill, and it's one that I deeply appreciate and have learned to hone to a high degree. So the story of the eloquent peasants, some of you may be familiar with that. This is a man who was considered an uneducated. He was just some peasant as far as they were concerned, but he turned out to have quite the gift of not so much gab, but the gift of eloquent vocabulary, and his talent for conveying his words with such grace and such dignity, but by the same token, throwing in little jabs that were appropriate and standing firm on his position, because he had had some things stolen from him that belonged to him, and they were stolen from by government workers. And instead of just giving up, he went to the high court and asked for his stuff back. And he went back a number of times. And the court was so impressed. The high official Ren Si, who he was especially appealing to, was so impressed that at the end of the 9 days, which was pretty cruel that they would make him come back 9 times. That was basically for their own amusement, because they were just so shocked. Here's this little bumpkin who can speak so well. I was like, where did he learn that from? Bring him back. Man, he speaks really well. Yeah, hold him over another day. Go send some food to his family, so that they're not without, because he was on his way to marketplace to sell his stuff when these two government workers, who were low-level government workers, decided that they were going to mess with him, and they stole his stuff. Okay, so he was persistent, and because of the fact that his speech was so beautiful, and again, remember the lessons that I shared a few days ago or last week about the importance of good speech to Kemites, neferet, right? I mean, you were considered of good character based on how well you spoke. And I don't necessarily mean in terms of how articulate you were, but just the way that you spoke, the tone of voice, the words that came out of your mouth, and how you communicated. So that was all telling about your character. That was very highly prized, more than anything, in ancient Kemet. So this eloquent peasant was so well spoken and so adamant about not leaving without his stuff. The high official Ren Si eventually said, okay, hey, give him his stuff. But beyond that, he gave him a job in the court. Divine speech, which is called makiru, is everything. You may not think so. I mean, in some societies, it's how well you can curse somebody out. But in other places, if you do that, you're like, oh, who you think you are? But then there are places where you have to know how to hold your own. And if you're surrounded by certain people who, in a certain circumstance, are only going to get you if you drop a couple of cuss words once in a while, then that's something else. Sometimes it's like when in Rome, but you never compromise your character. But still, I'm of the belief that you can still just completely obliterate somebody based on the words that you say. Okay? I mean, where you can tell somebody off to the point where they're like, what was that? Now, along with that, there's power in these words. As you come to know the guardians, you know their names, right? And once you pronounce them correctly to the best of your ability, then you will find that there's power in that as well. Just like when you receive a Khametic Ren, your Khametic Ren should open doors for you because of the fact that it matches your vibration. It is your key into your universal lock and opening the door. Uno wait to nibin petum ta. All doors of heaven and earth are open to me. Well, that generally is because of being in complete alignment, and knowing and speaking your name is one of those things. Also, knowing how to put together specific words for affirmations, which we call hekau, words of power, and knowing what particular order to put them in. It's formulaic. It truly is. So, for instance, for exorcism, you have Kansu, who is the guardian, one of the guardians, the main guardian of exorcism. And you have Sekhmet. Everybody knows Sekhmet. Her function is to clear away everything that is toxic. All right. So you have Kansu and then Sekhmet. And then on the end, that should represent the desired outcome, or the final turnkey for making the energy flow to have the desired effect that you were looking for. So that can be Mafdet. Look her up. She holds the scimitar. That can be Nebuchadnezzar, but I would not use Nebuchadnezzar because Nebuchadnezzar represents degeneration in order to bring about regeneration. What you want is for negative energy to be eradicated, but then for new energy to be welcomed. So, based on that, and for those of you who know the Khametic Guardians, give a suggestion. So you have Kansu, Sekhmet, what could be third? And know also that the Necharu really love rhyme schemes. They love words that flow, and they love when they're poetic. So, Kansu, Sekhmet, Kansu, Sekhmet. What's the desired result that you want? And whose name should you call? Suggestions, drop them in the chat. And also think about that as you say it, as you intone these words. And also as you're doing that, then think about what you want to get rid of. Since you're speaking out loud, might as well be productive, right? Kansu, he represents the moon and removing all moon madness and all of the Guga monsters and all that, okay? And then Sekhmet, who is purification and it removes toxicity. Think of some of the guardians that you know. Type this in. Okay, Ray. That's a good one. Tell me why. Kansu Sekhmet Ray. Doesn't really flow, doesn't really rhyme, but Ray is a good suggestion. Tell me why. Kansu Sekhmet. Okay, so Bertie, you're saying being easy on myself with self-care. Okay, so if that's the desired result that you want, after removing all of this negative energy, right? And you want to have a nurturing energy. All right, so you have nurturers like a pet. Okay, wait. So actually, Apet is another name for Taurt. So Kansu Sekhmet Apet, and she is a divine protector too. So, and then you also have Renanet, who is also divine nurturer. Now, with the suggestion for Ray, Ray is the sustainer of life. So, what do you know about Rayette? Rayette is the female aspect of Ray, who is actually even more powerful. However, she is like, she is also like, she's like super, right? Um, so Kansu Sekhmet Rayet may work, but you could also do the resolution with Ray. Kansu Sekhmet Rayet Ray, with Ray and Rayet together. Kansu Sekhmet Rayet Ray. Okay, it's a good suggestion. Really good suggestion. Let me let you see what those would look like. Kansu Sekhmet Rayet Ray. But to resolve it in self nurturing, after having all the negativity removed, it would be do that as an underscore. It means hold on. Consider Sekhmet. Let's go with Renunet. Renunet. Or just or Renunet. Yes. There are variations of Renunet. There's Renunet, there's Renutet, but you can also do Kansu, Sekhmet, Apet, which is another name for Tawurt. Great Mother Earth, who is depicted as the composite, mostly thought of as a hippopotamus, but she's known as the divine nurturer, and she's also loyal, but she's powerfully protective as well. One more. So this is something that is really a well-known combination. So you have, when creating something new, and removing all negative energy and wanting to rebuild and create something new and beautiful. You have Sekhmet. And who knows who Sekhmet's mate is? Who is mate to Sekhmet? The divine builder. Who knows who that is? Come on, my Khametic folk out there. Who's the divine builder? Yes, indeed. Ptah. Ptah. Um, I have that. And then who is their child? The divine lotus child. Yes, indeed. Neferatum. Duau Eruasa. Neferatum, but also known as Nefertum, which would actually flow very well with this combination. Sekhmet comes in and removes things, right? And then, I mean, she like raises a building. And then Ptah comes in to create a new foundation and to build. And then, with the two of them together, Sekhmet, Ptah, then you have Nefertum, who is the lotus child. So you notice that these are in triads, because the whole idea of the concept of the triad came out of Kemet. And you saw the depictions where you had a male, a female together, and then a child, or even a third guardian. Three. That's the most powerful combination when it comes to creating Hekau. So again, you think of the desired result, what you want to have happen, and then the desired result. And based on you base your equations on what you know about each of the energies. And that's why it's good to not just stay stuck in just knowing a certain 9 or 11. All right, because it's kind of like if you have a health challenge, and then you go to a doctor who only knows of like just 12 medicines, and then just tries to force fit them to every single situation. So you've got pneumonia, and he gives you some cough syrup, which is not really quite right. um, you follow what I'm saying? So the whole thing about building a relationship with the Necheru, who are the limitless ones, and knowing that that energy also resides within you. It gives you the advantage of being able to create the perfect hekau. And again, let me just write this down so you have it. Hekau equals words of power. Now, the divine messengers who govern sacred writings and sacred words are, I keep putting this down, it's because let me lean forward here. Okay, so you have Heket, and you have Heka, Jehuti, and Seshat. Even though she's the keeper of secrets, she's also the mother of letters and libraries. And so words are definitely her thing as well. So these are the word masters. Now, let me also, I'm going to show you Shashawut. These are some of the prayer beads that I have. Prayer beads. I'll show you some of my favorites. Be right back. Thanks for waiting. It's so hard to believe a lot of times that there's so many things that are traced back to Kemet, but then again, it's not. Um, Civilization came out of Kemet. High civilization came out of Kemet, and high concepts when it came to spiritual beliefs. Would my eight work in threes? My eight is actually a perfect way if you're going to do four to end it in my eight. But I can tell you that there is a wonderful hekau um, regarding legal situations that ends in, wait, let me see. It is, yes, it ends in my eight. So, yes, yeah. So, to give you an example, thank you, Reverend Tamu. So, to give you an example, say you have, starting with Sekhmet, and then you're dealing with her opposite side, which is Het Heru. Sekhmet, Het Heru, okay? And then bringing the complete balance and resolution would be my eight. Sekhmet, Het Heru, my eight. Sekhmet to flame up the situation and remove all the toxicity and to bring purity, and then Het Heru to bring the cleansing waters, and also to bring calm and beauty to a situation. And then my eight is the balance, which also brings the balance to the two sides. Okay. She brings like the perfect resolution. So, it's also okay to string. I didn't string these, so to string up your own shashaut. I've done that in the past, and with that you have a certain amount of stones, and depending on what the stone is, uh, to bring about a certain result. So, and it's good to have some kind of tether that represents the guardian. So with this is for Reninette and Wajet, but specifically for Reninette, and you see it's got the serpents on the bottom. And what you do is you can simply chant the guardian's name as you are gently rubbing each of the stones. Or you can say, it's very common to say, Yun kharech bernenet, ek ek yuni yunum katni anuk renenet. Um, show your face, renenet. Open within me. I am you. So that is one also, and you do that with each one. So you make sure you're in a nice meditative position, and that you are relatively calm. You should never pick up your prayer beads if you are in a state of rage, ever. Even though you might want to use them to calm down, what you want to do is do your breathing first to calm down, and then pick up your shashaut. You go through every single one. That makes a complete round. Okay. Now, if you are trying to really move some energy, then you would go through this a number of times. For those of you who have had rosary, this is where it came from. The things that you see in the Catholic Church came out of Kemet. The ancient Romans, they studied with the last of the Khametic priesthood before they killed them and took everything and put it in the Vatican. I keep forgetting. Okay, this is YouTube, and so hopefully I don't get some kind of a strike for using that word. But because things have changed over the last couple of years. But anyway, so that's the method of using it. Or you can even focus on a single word that is related to the guardian. All right. So if this were for Wajet, then to say the word Waj, which is health, Waj, health and wealth, Waj. All right. So that's another way of being able to utilize it. But the main thing is you always want to make sure to give gratitude, express your gratitude. Don't just ask. All right. So keep that in mind as well. This could be even when you begin your prayer session. Thank you so much for everything you've done, everything you're going to do, and please open within me. But I thank you. So duau is the word for many thanks, or thanks a lot. Dua is thank you. Okay, this, like I said, I didn't make this. I picked this up in a Muslim store, and because I was so drawn to how beautiful it was, and so I did a cleanse of it, and then prayed over it and anointed it with oil, and then I keep it in a sacred space. Any questions so far? So I want to say one more thing regarding the whole thing with the Kendrick and Drake beef. This ties in also to people who are not really focused on living the culture. That doesn't mean having to focus on being Khametic per se, but basically living in truth. The Ankin Ma'at, or the Ankin Ma'at, as we call it, living in truth. And for the culture vultures that are out there who are truly doing cosplay, I love that. It seems like Erica Alexander was the first one to coin that, doing African cosplay. You're not living the culture, you're just playing. You're not trying to preserve the culture, you're just playing. And so, I mean, this is what Kendrick Lamar has been calling out Drake on, because of the fact that he is trying to represent himself as something that he is not. We have the same issues when it comes to embracing our culture and our spiritual traditions, because there are people who like to put on the appearance of living the culture when they really are not. There are plenty of people online who are doing that and trying to lead people into some new cult that they've created, or to buy this new book with information that they've stolen or whatever, or just to come across as though they're so wise and all-knowing, when in truth they're not really living it. When you live it, it is your filter. You have that perspective coming from the African-centered I. So that is commitment, especially considering everything that we've been through as a people, with having our information taken from us. And it's work. It's a lot of work to get past that deprogramming and to reprogram yourself. But that means you must have consistency. My eight chase my eight. You also learn that the word menu, that represents daily consistency. But see, with menu, it's also represented with a chessboard. Well, what was it? An ancient chessboard. It was really like the Senet board, which is a precursor to chess. But it is a game of strategy. It takes applied effort and planning, and also yehu chess, self-discipline, to break through the barriers of, I don't want to put this politely, the barriers of living truth and not fronting. Because see, ultimately, if you play with the culture, like using the language for something that's not necessarily on the up and up, or in order to hoodwink others, or to come across as though you're all wise and all knowing, but in truth, you're trying to hide this whole other life that you may have. It comes back to get you. I've seen it. I know it. Trust and believe. You can't play. You can't play with African-centered traditions. You can't. Don't do it. Don't go and ask somebody to pray for you, and they've made all these petitions for you on your behalf, and then all of a sudden, you get what you want because you've got this person that you consider to be this magic genie in a bottle for you, and you get what you want, and then after that, you just completely disrespect the very traditions that got you what you wanted. Oh no, it does not work that way. And do not think that the Nechiru forget. Okay. Their memory is long, and you may not get the payback. Well, let me change that. You may not get the karma from it right away because of your being disrespectful. Because you can't go asking for favors from the African guardians and think you can just play with that. Mm-mm. So I appreciate Kendrick's dedication to wanting to maintain purity, not only in hip hop, but also in the culture. If you go back over a lot of his material from over the last several years, he is very solid in presenting about our history and culture, and for that I greatly respect him. And not only that, he's very talented too. Drake, I kind of like his song God's Plan, but although truthfully, if you go back and watch the video, one thing that I did not say was that the two circles that are in the eyes of the owl, which independently represent the eye, represent the symbol for Ray. If I'll save that for another time, because it's a very clever way that he hit about tying into his into the song God's Plan, but that's for another time. And actually, that may be just a little too much. So Brody says because he did not struggle in his life or the hip hop genre, which makes him not authentic. Exactly. Exactly. But then if you watch the video, you'll see that in this case, the use of the owl and the sound M and all of that, but the use of the owl and what it represents basically is saying it's a facsimile because it also means in the likeness of something or as. Yeah. It also means inside, like an insider. Yeah. Could the owl also have been a connection to Jehuti? No, no. Jehuti is depicted as a baboon or as the ibis, uh, but no. Wow, that's cool. Look at that. I accidentally hit my y'all can't see. I accidentally leaned on my extra keyboard here and it went to full screen. And the chat's over here now. Wow, look at that. The things you discover by accident, right? Okay, I'm going to escape out of this. There we go. And you know what? If he was dumb, if he had the intention of connecting himself to Jehuti, then that's really a big mistake because Jehuti is the law. He is the mediator, he's the lawyer, but also he lays down the law. Not smart. And also, he is truly all about truth. Hmm. Yes, that's a Western thing with owl and wisdom. Yeah, it is. Because if you watch my video, you'll see where I talk about the fact that people they revered the owl. They loved the owl. I should say, not so much revered, but they loved the owl and respected the owl because it ate vermin. And since they were very guarded about their crops, because after all, the crops that was their money. They would take their crops to the granary. They would have some that they would keep, but then they would put some in the granary, which was the bank. And being able to grow crops every year was a big deal. Sometimes they weren't able to because of the fact that the flood was not high enough. So um, they wanted the crops protected. So for that reason, they loved snakes, they loved cats, and they loved owls. But they started to be considered bad luck though, and also harbingers of death. That kind of changed in terms of the perspective on them when it's said, according to the story, Ramesses II really loved owls until an owl took his wings and slapped him in the face. After that, they became evil. But no, the symbols of wisdom have been the ibis and the baboon. And also the lake. I'm going like this because it's drawn as a rectangle with two um, diagonal lines. So the reflecting pool, because pools, well, still waters represent ancestral wisdom and the place where the ancestors dwell. Okay. If there aren't any more questions, and with that, we're going to move into our Hewitt Kodesh ceremony. Everybody good? And where's my bookmark? Here it is. Okay. Thanks, Birdie. Dua Heru. Let's settle in. If you have your red juice, and it doesn't have to be in a big jar or cup or chalice. I actually, since we're dealing with the ancestors, this is actually one of the shot glasses from my grandparents' bar and restaurant. I have a bunch of them that my cousin saved for me. We split them up when the family sold the business. It's a cool memento. Also serves a practical purpose. The Sacred Supper of Huit Karest, known today as Eucharist, was created in ancient Kemet. The priests and priestesses of Osset honored the resurrection of King Asar, or known as Wasir, and the resurrection of life. We all face personal levels of resurrection daily. As we learn the lessons of this life, we strive to grow, leave behind the old and unnecessary habits and behaviors, and move forward into higher consciousness. The blood that flows through our veins is of our ancestors. Huit represents the DNA, the ancestral blood that reaches back into the beginning of time. In African culture, we refer to the river, refer to it as the river. We refer to the river of ancestors, the blood, or senef, of our ancestors flow through each of us. The blood flows through each of us, as our blood will flow through future generations. It is an endless stream. As we call on the light and wisdom of our high ancestors, or Imakhu, our blood becomes purified. As such, we are mindful of giving respect, Sha'esha, to Senef, the blood. When we become spiritually awakened, we take our places within the awakened body of consciousness, Christ consciousness, Kerest consciousness. Kerest means the mummified remains or body wrapped in swaddling strips. Death to the old, yet spirit lives on. It has victory over death. We, in our spiritual growth, have victory over death and in life as we put emphasis on spirit and are not stuck in matters of the flesh and mundane. The bread, te, symbolizes the body, or kerest. Please hold up your bread. Repeat after me. Simek necheru mishet unk pen. Necheru, bless this bread of life. Anuk mishet unk. I am the bread of life. I am the body of awakened consciousness. Anuk kerest. My body is sacred. Kati jaser. My spirit is of Necher. Kani and Necher. Thank you, God, or Necher. Dwa Necher. Unem. Eat. Give thanks and praise. Please hold up your cup. Repeat after me. Necheru, bless this blood of life. Semek Necheru, Senef Ankh Pen. My blood flows from the river of ancestors. Senefi Sefsef Ni Im Yaku. Webi, purify me. Thank you, Nichir. Dua Nichir. Papa, drink. Duau. Please hold up your cup. This cup is also you. It is a sacred chalice. You, like the cup, are a sacred vessel. Be mindful of what you fill your life with. Your life is sacred. Repeat after me. I am a sacred vessel. Anuk Imakhu. My life is sacred. Anki Jaser. Amen. 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 That concludes our ceremony and it concludes our message for today. I'm hoping that your week is empowered, joy filled, and also that the words that you use and share will be empowering to you and uplifting, and also to everyone else around you, that you are able to spread joy and wisdom and knowledge. Give thanks and praise. If you want to reach out to me for more information, then please, you can text me. It's late, not now. 646-228-1185. Listen, I'm not, y'all, for those of you who don't know me, don't call me. Don't call me or text me right now. All right? People who know me know not to do that. Also know that if you're going to reach out to me, then you must identify yourself in the text. Don't text me talking about, hey, or what's up? You know, whatever. I don't care if you even give me my proper greeting. Do not call me late. Do not text me late. And make sure that you identify who you are and the purpose for your call. Otherwise, I'm not answering. Okay? Just to be clear. You can also go to my website at imakhu.info to reach out to me. Leave a message from the website. Okay? That's my website. Here's the phone number. And if you come at me rudely, I am definitely not going to answer. Okay? I don't respond to hey. I don't respond to hey, how you doing? I don't respond to hey, it's been a long time. Who are you? Okay? Let's remember to be polite and to remember also that we need to respect each other in safety and love. Okay? All right. It's my pleasure to be here with you all. Thank you all so much for being here. Please share this. I appreciate you all so much. Help me with growing my channel now that I'm back in the grind. Give thanks and praise. And we end by saying Merea, which means much love. Heri, which means be at peace. Teni, which means to be accountable. Jebewi, which means to extend mercy. See, technically means to absolve a debt, okay? Remember to extend mercy, but also in the way that is appropriate, and also to be merciful to yourself. Have a beautiful night. Sweet dreams. Raswinacha.